So here we go, Tom Herman trying to build off what was an inaugural 7-6 campaign. That 7th win courtesy of another stellar defensive performance in Houston at the Texas Bowl. This is the format for the game. First half, 12-minute quarters. You got the normal clock. Second half, we'll speed it up a little bit. 10-minute quarters with the running clock. And again, normal game score because we have an orange team and a white team. And the white team is out first with Sam Ehlinger at quarterback.
And Lowell, you usually limit special teams in spring games because you don't have enough time to work on them and you don't have enough depth. A lot of the young guys usually take those roles.
His running back is Tennille Carter. Lil Jordan Humphrey in motion, and it goes straight to him. And a short gain on the first snap of the 2018 spring game. What's going to be key in this performance as Ehlinger tries to win the job?
Well, I just noticed watching him in practice yesterday that he was throwing with more confidence. I found him anticipating a little bit more, not waiting until a guy was completely wide open, but actually kind of anticipating him becoming open and throwing the ball. That'll help him an awful lot.
I also say they've worked on shortening up his release a little bit. The ball literally getting out to receivers faster. On the run, back to Little Jordan Humphrey for the first down. And that has been one of the standouts in the spring so far. Big target for Ehlinger to work with.
Yeah, you like those tall receivers. Rod, talk about length. We had Roy Williams. We had Lima Swede. When you put those tall guys on short ones, Rod, you got a great chance to be successful.
Oh, made life difficult for me.
Carter fumbles. Ehlinger is there to recover. As Kyle Hernzer forced that one out. This is going to be a big concern for the Texas offense this year. They cannot turn the football over.
And this was a read.
Yeah.
It's a zone read, and you've got to take your time with it, but they've also been really worried about the backs not taking care of the football, and ball security is one of the real issues with Carter, and one of the reasons they've been concerned about his playing time. And
we see what it leads to, another hit on Ehlinger as he had to go down to get that loose ball. 2nd and 10. Backside pressure from Brecken Hager. Ehlinger eludes it and scampers for a few yards, even though Hager is asking for the sack because those black non-contact jerseys.
I'd give him the sack. I think he had him back there.
Well, he's the defensive guy. The head coach isn't going to give those sacks. Head coach he won't see that ball moving. So first down, that was good. First down, he didn't get him.
And money down right here for the Texas defense. They were fantastic on 3rd down a season ago, holding opponents to 27.1%, 3rd best in the FBS. Zach Shackelford starting at center, flanked by Vahe and Elijah Rodriguez. Pressure over the middle, and we have a flag on the play.
Pass interference defense.
But Todd Orlando dialing up some of that pressure.
Defense, number 15. Ball's placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
So that is Chris Brown, who will be in competition for a lead role in the defensive backfield. You can see he gets a lot of jersey there of Reese Lato.
Well, and it kills you. You got a 3rd down, Rod. You got to get off the field defensively. That's like a turnover because it would have forced a punt.
Well, he was actually in pretty good shape. He didn't have to have the early touch there.
They've had pretty controlled passes with Sam so far, trying to get him some confidence. First time down the field. Yeah.
Looking deep. Devin Duvernay, big hit by Brown, and Duvernay holds on.
You have to like the way that Ehlinger stepped into that throw. Got a little pressure right up the middle, didn't worry about it. And again, anticipation. He didn't wait too long to let that ball go.
44 yards on the pickup to the junior to be Devin Duvernay. White offense now into the red zone. And this has been a big step for Ehlinger, that pocket presence.
Had a really good play action too, Rod, that held those linebackers. It holds that defensive line. He stepped up and threw it in a small window, and that's what they're wanting to see. Tighten the release up a little bit, throw those darts. You've got to remember, these guys have been working against each other all fall and all spring, so they know the checks.
Looking left side, broken up by Chris Boyd, who is poised to have a standout senior year.
That's not a good decision there, Coach.
No, we talked about decision making.
Yep.
That's a backdoor throw.
Yep, if you're going to make that throw, that can't be to the inside.
Oh, it's got to be a paintball. It's got to be outside or throw it away. And I think Sam is such a competitor, and he tries so hard to make a play every time. What he's got to learn is the play's not there every time.
Right, and keep in mind where you are on the field and preserving scoring opportunities.
Keep the right to kick when you're inside the 20.
Big one here, 3rd and 9. Play action to Leto, and Leto is drugged down by Anthony Wheeler. So a good red zone stop here by the Orange defense.
You know, Coach, one of the things that I'm looking for today, really, who are the impact players? Who can you, for example, on the defensive side, since you've lost so many great players, who can you count on to make plays that you can build your defense around, that can make the opposition concerned about you each week? Who are those impact guys?
And Rod, the same thing on offense. Who are the go-to guys? Is it Colin Johnson at 6'6" as a wide receiver? If it is, you got to work to get the ball to him, but you've got to figure out ways to run the ball. And you may have to be creative to do that if you can't block everybody up front.
29-yard attempt for Joshua Rowland. And a flag is out, perhaps delay a game.
Delay of game. Offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Come on, officials. It's spring game now. Let's be smart here.
Well, when you talk about go-to guys, right, specialists are going to be huge this year. No more Michael Dixon. He was the constant at punter for Texas a year ago. And this is a big unanswered issue right here, the kicking game for the Longhorns. Rowland had his struggles, but did finish strong, hitting his last 4 field goal attempts over the final 2 games. From 29 yards out and good. So a good start for the White offense. Red zone drive leads to 3. And this is how you get the physicality set for the spring game. Take the quarterbacks and do a little circle drill.
It's summer. It's summer. Summer is here! You can get it if you really want. You can get it if you really want. You can get it if you
The surest sign that summer has arrived. The summer can from Corona. Get it while you can.
Is this AT&T Innovations?
Yeah, wow. This must be for one of our new unlimited wireless plans. Comes with a ton of entertainment options.
Great. Can you sign for this?
Hey, what's in that one?
That's a shark.
New and only with AT&T, you can get unlimited data, 30+ channels of live TV, and your choice of things like HBO or Amazon Music. More for your thing. That's our thing. Visit att.com.
CashNetUSA.com, man.
I help when money's tight.
If approved, you may get the money you need as soon as tomorrow.
Apply now at CashNetUSA.com.
Money's on the way with CashNet USA.
When you rent a car on Turo, you're renting from a real person. No shuttle rides, no waiting in line, and no wandering a car lot. This is better than your typical car rental. This is Turo. Download the app today.
This law school graduate traded in his Wall Street credentials for a chance to make a bigger difference. He was named vice president of the Rockefeller Foundation and later president of the Ford Foundation, overseeing $500 million in annual grant making and leading a global effort to end poverty and injustice.
We must continue to bridge the gaps of inequality.
Darren Walker. He's a Longhorn legend.
Texas football on Longhorn Network is presented by Living Spaces, coming soon to Pflugerville, and in part by Dr. Pepper, the one fans crave.
Welcome back to the 2018 Texas Football Spring Game. Lo Galindo here with Rod Gilmore and Mac Brown, and Shane Buechele now out to try to answer a field goal drive led by Sam Ehlinger on the White offense. A handoff to Daniel Young, spinning out of the initial tackle, and a big thud there.
You know, Buechele's not the same run threat that Ehlinger is. And establishing a good rushing attack would certainly help him at the quarterback spot. And Mac, you and I talked about how last year they didn't have a tight end, and that hurt their rushing attack.
Buechele stepping up. I think this will be marked as a sack as Marquez Bimage got in the backfield. But guys, that big contact on Daniel Young, a play earlier, that was brought by B.J. Foster, the #1 safety prospect in the nation out of Angleton, Texas.
6'1", 205. Well, one of those guys I talked about looks good getting off the bus, and he certainly brings it when he tackles.
And that wasn't Buechele's fault. That was an assignment mistake up front, unless he called the protection the wrong way with the offensive line.
So Bimage credit with the sack. It moves it back to a 3rd and 8. More pressure. Omenahu flushes Buechele, throwing on the run, and it's left short as he was looking for John Burton. So a 3 and out here. And Coach, we'll talk so much about the stats of quarterbacks, but when it comes to what matters the most in evaluating this, guys, it is what?
Well, there's only 2. It's decision making, which is not turning the football over and keeping the right to kick, and scoring touchdowns. We used to tell quarterbacks, if you want to stay in, score. It's like make it, take it. We like scoring. So don't look at me when you're not moving the ball, because it's his job to motivate the other guys to get them in the right place. And in this first drive, Sam would have the upper hand because he took them down to score, and Shane had a 3 and out.
Ryan Buchevsky back to punt, the cousin of Michael Dixon, freshman also from Australia. And his first boot is a good one. Driving Duvernay back. And Austin loves it.
And we have to remember, you aren't rushing the punter in the spring.
Very true.
The eyes get a little bit bigger when you get somebody coming after it. So kickers and punters should look really good in the spring. But again, you're not going to have punt returns, kickoff coverage, kickoff return, because you're so thin that you don't have enough personnel to do that in the spring, and you really don't have enough time to work on it as much as you need to.
So
Not
Coach,
too often.
You went through this quarterback competition when you were here. I mean, you know, you had Applewhite and you had Sims. Buechele and Ehlinger going through. What's the most important thing, or how difficult was that for you to manage that situation?
Well, Rod, we had dominant performance at events, but he had a competition with Chance Mock, and Chance Mock was leading the nation in passing at one time, and with Colt, we had it with Jevin Sneed early, and then Colt kind of took over, and at the end of my career here, we had 2 or 3 different quarterbacks in there, and it's always very, very difficult. It's a confusing message to the players, so there's no doubt if you can get one, it's better, but if I'm Coach Herman, I take both of these through the summer, let them compete in the fall, because you want them both to stay here, and he needs both of them to play in the fall.
Yeah, Tim Beck, the offensive coordinator, has said he likes the competition. They're simply not ready, though, to name a starter yet. That ball was tipped.
I'm telling you, Hager absolutely ran over the right tackle and knocked him into the quarterback. Well, what a pass rush. He's back on his heels anyway. Look at Hager.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, you start talking about impact players.
Yeah.
That may be one of your key guys.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. He had so many tackles for loss last year. He gets after the quarterback. He's mean.
How about that knockback?
I like being mean. That's a good thing.
And he's got the name, the Hager last name. That means something here in Austin, Texas. They hand off to Tennille Carter, a short game on 2nd down. Hager, though, last season really started to break out as the year went on. And this happens with the new staff, right? It takes a little while to learn personnel and how to exactly use the guys where they fit best.
And I talked to Todd Orlando. They're going to move him around. He's such an impact player for them that Rod, they're just not going to leave him in one spot where people can chip him and double team him and turn back to him. They're going to try to move him where he's hard to block.
Well, he could really impact an offense that way. He looks like an impact player.
9 tackles for loss and 4 sacks a year ago. Wheeler chasing down Carter, and a nice open field tackle by Wheeler. He could be the guy tasked with replacing Malik Jefferson.
I really like Anthony Wheeler. He's a smart young man. He's a senior. He's been around for a long time. He's a guy we were recruiting when I left 4 years ago, and I thought he would be a superstar, and now it's his turn. With Malik gone, it's his turn to step up and be a great leader his senior year.
If you have a couple of superstars, impact players in your defense, you really can affect an offense. They have to account for those 2 guys, and then other guys are free just to play and play well.
And Rod, you made a statement in our production meeting that they lost a great nose tackle, great linebacker, and great safety. So you've got to be strong down the middle. So they've got to replace some really good players at key positions.
Yeah, it starts up front with Poona Ford, Malik Jefferson at linebacker. And you're also replacing one of the top safeties in America. But the defensive line looking good. Hager into the backfield.
For a farmer, every year starts the same, with hope and a plan. Because you never know what each month will bring, but you can have someone by your side that knows the terrain. As the most experienced agricultural lender in Texas, Capital Farm Credit is a cooperative with loans designed to keep your crop or cattle operation operating on good days and the not-so-good days. Because we're all in this together, and together, we're better.
Let's get this show started.
Thank you guys so much.
Celebrate the year's greatest moments in sports with the most unforgettable plays, the biggest upsets, and the moments that inspire. Who will reign supreme?
And the ESPY goes to...
Danica Patrick hosts The ESPYs, live Wednesday, 8, 7 Central on ABC.
I've got one. Just a little something I put down on paper. Running. Running. Hold the ball. Hit the hole. Defensive back. Too small. Little guy. Boom! Those your friends? Boom! Boom! Hearts breaking. Touchdown! Touchdown! Touchdown. Woo! Touchdown, Ricky! Yeah! Woo! Woo!
At UT, she wrote for the Daily Texan. 4 years after earning her journalism degree, she was named Writer of the Year at the Associated Press. She joined the Houston Chronicle, and in 2015, her reporting exposed a system of corrupt grand jury practices, earning her the Pulitzer Prize.
The story is the most powerful tool of persuasion that exists anywhere.
For her commitment to finding and reporting the truth, Lisa Falkenberg, she's a Longhorn legend.
Sometimes news breaks while we're on the air, so we came up with a new way to let anchors know what's going on.
To the 9th inning we go. St. Louis up 3-2, and the Cardinals get the W.
It's a great way to report up-to-the-minute news without interrupting the show.
Breaking news just in, huge NBA trade. The Warriors add another pitcher?
We still have some kinks to work out, but once we get it down, smooth sailing.
Welcome back to the 2018 spring game. And Rod Gilmore, a lot of losses Texas needs to replace.
Yeah, we talked about being strong up the middle, and look at some of the guys. Poona Ford is gone. Malik Jefferson patrolled the inside of that defensive field, made big plays. And don't forget Deshaun Elliott. I mean, you've got some guys at every level who were essentially impact players.
And you lose your left tackle and maybe the most valuable player in your punter.
How many times do you say that?
Never. He was definitely the most valuable offensive player.
At least you replace him with his cousin, though.
Coach Orlando would liked him a lot, I think. I think he sat with him on the bus.
It's pretty much an extension of the defense as Buechele complete to Colin Johnson.
6'6" out there, one of the guys we talked about. Those long athletic receivers can be a problem.
Quick pass in space to Gerard Hurd, flag on the play. You talk about some of the guys that have been around for a while. You recruited Gerard Hurd to be your quarterback.
Yeah, Gerard won 2 state championships at Denton Guyer.
Number 78, 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, 2nd down.
But in talking to Coach Herman this week, they've got to find a slot. And probably in the NFL, Gerard's best position will be a wide receiver. Here's a 6'2" guy that can fly. He's got good hands and he's smart. So I think he may be a great slot. He can throw, he can run the reverse, he can work on the safeties and linebackers up inside. Maybe they found a spot for him.
So tough for this Texas offense to build any sort of semblance of momentum last season with the rash of injuries that they suffered. Starting in camp with Elijah Rodriguez and Andrew Beck going down. And in the USC game, Connor Williams going down. Another nice open field tackle. And this is one of the young guys that we'll be talking about a lot. Ayodele Adeoye, true freshman middle linebacker from St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, Tom told me he is a hitter. He and Todd both said that he will knock you out.
Yeah,
which is what you're looking for, isn't it, Rod?
That last play isn't fair, though. They shouldn't be running pick plays in the spring game.
It's not a pick, Rob. It's a rub. It's a rub.
Adeoye, the number 3 inside linebacker prospect in the freshman class. Busted coverage, almost a one-handed interception by B.J. Foster.
You know, Coach, we're seeing a trend to those long athletic corners with the long arms. They can make plays like this, but they can also play great press man with those long arms. You see great coverage there, covering great ground with Foster.
Well, and a 6'6" guy usually has trouble getting off the ball, so you may have to move him some. You may have to put him in a slot, motion him some. And there's been some great defensive backs here out of Angleton. You start looking at Quentin Jammer and Quandre Diggs, and this looks like he's going to be another one in the same direction as those guys are with his ability.
B.J. Foster, the number 1 safety prospect in the ESPN 300. As the punt is away to little Jordan Humphrey. This Texas class actually has the top 3 safety prospects in America in this incoming freshman class.
Well, I think it's something that they need, given the Big 12 and how much you throw the ball, and given that there isn't a plethora of great defensive linemen in the conference or Texas. You need those safeties and those linebackers that can play in space and can also rush the quarterback.
Well, and you're going to be playing nickel and dime about every week most of the time. And in some cases, these guys will equal themselves into linebackers. And when you take a great safety that's a big guy that becomes a 225-pounder, he can fly linebacker, and it gives you the speed that you need to cover the screens, the draws, and all the things that are happening now with this up-tempo offense.
Look, the way the Big 12 is played now, you have to be able to get negative plays. You've got to be able to affect the quarterback or to take the ball away.
They call a stop a field goal.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it.
Hey, when it comes to recruiting, how about this job to get Todd Orlando back for year number 2 on the 40 acres? That was a big deal. And speaking of Orlando, as Kyle Porter gets the carry, he credited Mike Perrin and Tom Herman for being very proactive in the second half of the year when some of the rumors started to pop up, that they went after Todd Orlando and made sure they had a deal in place and found an arrangement to get him back.
Yeah, he did an amazing job last year, and he's a guy they couldn't lose. He was the most valuable player on that staff as well. And they paid him a lot, and that's what you have to do in modern day.
Leto, Brandon Jones with the initial contact. And Ron, what do you make of the way this team has looked open field tackling?
Look, I was just about to say, I'm impressed with the clean tackling in the open field. So I suspect you guys have seen more practices than I have, but I suspect they're doing a lot of drills to make sure that they're in the right position, right angles, because we haven't seen a missed open field tackle yet.
And if we look at it, we're seeing a lot of short passes, and I think that's because we're concerned about the offensive line and their protection. Trying to keep the quarterbacks clean and get them some easy throws.
Only had 8 scholarship offensive linemen for most of the spring. 3rd and short. Passes broken up. Boyd and Brown were there.
And Lowell, if our fans will notice, the offensive linemen are in black jerseys, and that's because there aren't enough of them to play on two teams.
Yeah.
So they're actually playing all the time, and there's probably 7 of them they're rotating, so they get tired as well. It's a little bit humid tonight.
Isn't that the real key for this team this year? We're not going to find out an awful lot about the offensive line tonight because there's so few of them. But how the quarterback goes will depend on how that offensive line plays. And you need to have a depth chart of 8-10 guys you can play.
And how you run the ball.
Yeah.
You've got to run the ball to get play action. You've got to be known for something. So got to have something that stands out, Lowell. Something they're worried about.
We'll talk about Coach Herman's new offensive line coach, Herb Hand, when we return here to Austin.
Yes, we're coming out of a cake. Woo! For hosting this beautiful bridal shower, you deserve the sweet reward of a Diet Dr. Pepper.
That is sweet. Is that the entertainment?
Yeah! Diet Dr. Pepper. It's the sweet one. Is this AT&T Innovations?
Yeah. Wow. This must be for one of our new unlimited wireless plans. Comes with a ton of entertainment options.
Great. Can you sign for this?
Yeah.
Hey, what's in that one?
That's a shark.
New and only with AT&T, you can get unlimited data, 30+ channels of live TV, and your choice of things like HBO or Amazon Music. More for your thing. That's our thing. Visit att.com.
End of a good day's work, time for supper and family. And you can relax because ASCO and Reliable Case Construction Equipment pulled you through the day. When this job's done, the next one's waiting. That's why ASCO has genuine case parts and service to make sure that key cranks it up in the morning and keeps it running through the day with one of the largest service fleets around. Buy it, rent it, or lease it. ASCO has it. So when you depend on the equipment beneath you, ASCO keeps you going.
This is the greatest day of my life.
This 9-time All-American athlete spent 17 years as UT's first full-time director of women's athletics. Her visionary leadership led to 18 national championships and made Texas a trendsetter in sports medicine, academic support, and ticket sales. From college campuses to the halls of Congress, she's been a fierce advocate for the Title IX and gender equality.
No child should ever be told that they cannot pursue their dreams.
Dr. Donna Lopiano, she's a Longhorn legend.
Sometimes news breaks while we're on the air, so we came up with a new way to let anchors know what's going on.
To the 9th inning we go. St. Louis up 3-2, and the Cardinals get the W.
It's a great way to report up-to-the-minute news without interrupting the show.
Breaking news just in, huge NBA trade. The Warriors add another pitcher?
We still have some kinks to work out, but once we get it down, smooth sailing.
Get your foot up, Elrod. You didn't even lift your foot. Scoop! That's better. Hustle back. I don't want to see your hands out anymore. Man, fix it. You got to make the conscious decision to do it right. I don't want you to do this. I want you to do this. 1, 2, and now your hips are square. See what I'm saying? Scoop! 1, 2. There you go. Now drop. You're a little thick. You're a little thick on it. Bring your feet. There you go. Scramble through. There. That's what I want.
New this year to college football, the addition of a 10th assistant coach. So new to the Texas coaching staff, Herb Hand, with that additional spot. Tom Herman reaches out to get the offensive line coach from Auburn. And the Tigers had the 26th best rush offense in college football last season. Burt is wide open, lays out, but Bouchel led him too much.
Can't miss that one, Coach.
No, but he was also knocked on his back.
Yep, I understand.
That quarterback position, if we watch the quarterback, it was a good fake, but once again, the offensive line didn't give him enough time, or that's a touchdown.
Got to give him a chance to go make the play.
And that's why Herb Hand was brought in. There's a real concern in the offensive line. They need more consistency. They've got to have more depth. And to be the team they want to be, Herb's going to have to get this bunch where they can block people.
So is it even fair to evaluate the quarterbacks today?
I don't think so far, because they're having to throw short to get it out of their hands because they don't have enough time to get it off.
I mean, given what we have with this offensive line, it may not be fair to try to see who's ahead at the quarterback spot.
Well, that was pretty much the MO last season. I mean, either one of these quarterbacks didn't really have much time to work when they dropped back because of the issues on the offensive line. There's Colin Johnson. That's a first down. A big 3rd and 4 conversion there for Shane Buechele. You know Coach Hand pretty well. You've actually interviewed him for jobs before. What is he known for?
Well, he's done a great job with zone blocking, and that's kind of been his MO across the country. I brought him in when he was at Tulsa, and Mac McCorder retired, and I interviewed him. I was really impressed. I ended up hiring Stacy Searles, who I've known a long time and thought was the best offensive line coach in the country, and Stacy did a good job for us. But Herb is considered one of the best in the country and a great hire for Tom.
Well, also has some help on the way. Graduate transfer out of Rice, Calvin Anderson.
Well, and they feel like Patrick Vahi and Shackelford and Rodriguez are all really quality players. They got to have some other guys step up. And, Rod, you're going to have 7 to 10 of those guys because they're going to get hurt some in ball games.
Well, and you're going to have a lot of plays.
Here's your double pass.
Hurd to throw. Hurd makes the adjustment and hauls it in.
I like that throw by Hurd. He's got his receiver wide open. He just get it right to him outside so he can make the catch. Don't worry about getting him to the end zone. He couldn't be more wide open. He doesn't overdo it.
No, I would have still had him at quarterback. There's no question, because I was excited about him. But I think Tom's found something for him here at slot that'll really help.
Off balance throw, Andrew Beck, wide open spaces, and another good open field tackle by John Bonney. Now we talk about the offensive line. Beck really is an extension of the offensive line. Hasn't been much of a receiving threat in his career, but what he is a fantastic lead blocker. They missed him with his foot injury before the season even started last year.
Well, if they can get a lot of production out of tight end, a lot of good run blocking, one of the things that it gives you is an ability to take time off the clock for those Big 12 offenses that want to run 90 plays.
Yeah, it helps you run the ball when you've got an end. An edge. If you got an edge player, you got a chance.
So Buechele had 4 straight completions, so getting rid of that one.
But you've got Beck, who's a tough guy and a leader. You've got Brewer, who's hurt. He's out of today's game, that played well last year. And they're so excited about Leto, the freshman that was redshirted last year, that these 3 tight ends should help them in the passing game. But like Rod said, it gives you an edge to run the ball and should help with protection if you've got a tackle that's struggling some.
3rd and 4. Buechele rolling. Across the grain the other way. Lofts it up to Johnson. Hands! Colin Johnson rips it in. Those two are great friends. Shane Buechele and Colin Johnson.
I'd be his friend too. 6'6". Johnny Johnson, Colin's dad, was a great player here, not a good player here. He's a great person. And Colin's got to be one of the guys you talked about, Rod. He's got to be a go-to guy because he's big, he's fast, he can catch, he can jump over the defensive backs and get the ball. And obviously, Shane felt that as he changed his direction and hit him back in the corner of the end zone for the touchdown. And if they double team Colin, it gives you some other guys that are open to go to.
That's exactly right. You're talking about a guy who is 6'6", coming across the field, looking to go up and take the ball away. Long arms. Guys like that can make a play that would be in doubt, a 50-50 ball, 100% Longhorn TD.
I mean, Kobe Boyce had his mitt on that football, and that size and the strength of Johnson just rips it away.
Yeah, tall beats short.
Yeah.
All the time.
I can tell you all about that.
And especially fast and tall beats short. But now we're talking about quarterbacks. Sam's had a great throw down the middle to Duvernay, and now Shane's come back and hit a ball in the end zone for the touchdown. So both of them made a good play.
This is probably where Texas is the deepest, maybe on the entire roster. One position group, the receivers. Johnson, Little Jordan, Gerard Hurd. It's a pretty good trio right there.
Yeah, very athletic. guys who can make plays, who can take that 50-50 ball and turn it into something. But, you know, let's give Shane some credit, too, for staying alive, getting his eyes down the field, and making a play. I mean, that's to be rewarded. That is something pretty special to see out there.
And that was a sprint out to the right with full sprint protection. So he didn't have a lot of help backside, and he went against the grain to make the throw. But I think you're right, and having Gerard Hurd in there as a threat to run or throw can really help him as well.
Ellinger back to pass, pressured. And let's go downstairs to Maniacho.
You know, guys, down here from the field, you can tell the defense on the Orange squad, they're a little more veteran. The safeties are holding the two shell, rotating down late, which is making it harder on Ellinger at quarterback. Opposite side of the field, B.J. Foster, obviously he has the range, but he's showing his defense a little bit sooner, making it easier on Buechele. The Orange side is having a lot of fun right now.
First quarter comes to a close. In case you're wondering, why does White now have 6 points? Tom Herman deciding to give Team White 3 more points for winning the circle drill before the start of the
I hate that scoring system.
Come on, it's this
That's
spring.
just wrong.
Lighten up, Ron.
I can't believe they charged me this much. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Go to CashNetUSA.com now. If approved, you may get the money you need as soon as tomorrow.
Thanks. Who are you?
I'm CashNetUSA.com. Man.
Apply now at CashNetUSA.com.
Money's on the way with CashNet USA.
Let's get this show started.
Thank you guys so much.
Celebrate the year's greatest moments in sports with the most unforgettable plays, the biggest upsets, and the moments that inspire. Who will reign supreme?
And the ESPY goes to...
Danica Patrick hosts The ESPYs, live Wednesday, 8, 7 Central on ABC.
Next, come on. Who wants to get wet? Get on in there. Climb on in there. I am on today. Yes! Next. Don't be shy. Get in there. Burning daylight. Let's go. Yes!
Hey, I thought the fans were supposed to dunk Roger.
Yeah, there was some confusion about that.
Nobody wanted to tell him.
Everybody's getting wet today. Everybody.
Absolutely not.
Who's next? Come on. Let's go. Yes!
After earning a degree in aerospace engineering, she joined the U.S. Air Force in 1992. When the military ended restrictions on women flying in combat, she became the first to take advantage.
And I said, well, I don't want the attention, but I want to fly fighters more than anything.
With over 3,000 flight hours, she became a brigadier general and the first woman to command the 57th Wing of the Air Force. Jeannie Leavitt. She's a Longhorn legend.
Sometimes news breaks while we're on the air, so we came up with a new way to let anchors know what's going on.
To the ninth inning we go. St. Louis up 3-2, and the Cardinals get the W.
It's a great way to report up-to-the-minute news without interrupting the show.
Breaking news just in, huge NBA trade. The Warriors add another pitcher?
We still have some kinks to work out, but once we get it down, smooth sailing.
Sam Ellinger stepped right into the fire as a true freshman, starting quarterback for the University of Texas in 6 games. Did not flinch, always trying to make the big play, which at times hurt him. Some costly turnovers in critical situations, which were difference makers in these games that you saw, especially in late game situations. That has been the #1 point of concern for the Texas coaching staff with Ellinger going into his sophomore year. But both Tim Beck and Tom Herman have said that he has been outstanding with ball security in the spring.
Well, and fans, let's look at this graphic. It's 6-1 when they win the turnover battle, and 1-5 when they lose the turnover battle, or it's even. And the one win was San Jose State, who they would have beaten if they'd have turned it over 10 times. So it is the most critical part of this game. You have to take care of the ball.
Ball start. Offense, number 52, 5-yard penalty. It's second down.
Now let's go back and look at Vince Young was redshirted.
Oh, yeah.
Colt McCoy was redshirted. Sam had to come in and play immediately. So there's a tremendous amount of pressure on him, and he showed great promise for the future. Was the leading rusher on the team, and he can't use his feet as much today because it's not a running day for a quarterback, and they don't want him to get hit. And Shane Buechele was a freshman when he played. So playing young freshman quarterbacks usually doesn't work out very well.
And we talk ball security, and there it goes.
Here we go.
Yeah.
And the white defense pouncing on it.
So these are the things that are going to get Herman's attention. You know, fundamental things. Got to get the snap up. Got it. You can't have things like this. It's got to be good. And that's a pretty good snap. Maybe he was taking his eye off, looking to start his read. You can't do that. You got to go by the book.
You do. And you've got to be careful as a coach that you don't overcoach it so much it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
Because you can talk them into fumbling. So there's a fine line there between talking to it too much.
So Tennille Carter pounces on that and keeps possession for the white offense. So setting up Sam Ehlinger for 3rd and 19.
Carter said it wasn't me that dropped it. Don't get on, don't get on me.
You don't want to throw your quarterback under the bus, though, do you?
No, but I want to play. Good protection.
And Ehlinger will keep zigzagging, but whistles down before.
Hey, no running. No running for him, right?
That's the thing Coach Herman pointed out, though. Even with that black jersey, he wants his guys to know a little bit there's going to be some contact. But you don't want to be that guy in this scenario, putting the contact on the black jersey.
No, and I can promise you, Tom tells him, he's telling him right now where to put the ball down. Hey, give him a 10-yard gain. I got it. Don't let him get hit. And Orlando's saying, they hit him at the line of scrimmage, man.
Now, Coach, you know there are guys on every defense. You start running, you're going to get hit.
There's no question. I used to tell them to play and let me coach. I'll officiate and I'll coach, you play.
Buchevsky to punt it away. Brandon Jones back. And through the hands of Brandon Jones. So getting a little careless with the football here. Rod, take us back to last season, though. Let's get back to the offensive line and the pocket that the quarterback had to work with.
Well, it's a problem. You know, that was the #1 issue on offense for them. For protection, when you had protection, you had a chance to make some plays. But by and large, they didn't have it. And when you didn't have it, you had shots. Now, here's one good throw where the receiver fights and makes a play. But, you know, way too often, whether it was Ehlinger or Buechele, they were being chased down, knocked around, and then they didn't protect the ball. A little bit sloppy with it in those situations. Have to clean that up. You can't have that this season.
When people say, he's running it too quickly, I'd run too if I had the guy coming free every time I drop back.
Breathing down your neck. 8 different starting lineup combinations for the offensive line last year.
You got to have a really good, strong front to make sure the quarterback can sit back and take his time and make his reads.
And Coach Herman really likes the first string. The depth is a concern right now. Buechele back in at quarterback. Firing out to Colin Johnson. And Malcolm Roach bringing him down. So that first string offensive line to this point, Denzel Okafor, Patrick Vahe, Zach Shackelford, Elijah Rodriguez, and Derek Kirsten.
Yeah, Vahe was one of the best offensive linemen I'd ever seen in high school. We thought he was tough. Shackelford played up at Belton for Bob Shipley, and he was good, and Rodriguez is coming and doing a good job. So I know they're really high on those 3 guys, but one guy missing his guy can ruin the entire play.
Happened 34 times last season. The number of sacks allowed, 2nd worst in the Big 12. Jump ball, Colin Johnson. Did he bring it down? Yes.
I think Colin's got superstar written all over him. Throw it up high. Throw it up high, and that's a great throw.
And the more he makes plays like that, you're not going to single up over there.
No.
You're going to bring a safety over, which opens up other things for you.
Running game possibly when you move a backer underneath him or a corner out.
Yep. At 6'6", he makes those plays out there. That's a problem for the defense.
20-yard pickup, and the Buechele-Johnson connection is working. Pressure there, flag on the play, as Jeffrey McCulloch was in the backfield. And I think that required a hold to keep him from Buechele.
Coach, I'm going to go back to the offensive line for a second.
Offense number 71, 10-yard penalty. It's first down.
When you are struggling at the offensive line, does that make you, at the quarterback position, want to lean more towards a guy who's more mobile, or does that not factor in at all?
No, it does, and that's where I think people talk more about Sam because he's the runner, because Shane's as accurate as a guy like Colt McCoy. I mean, when you give him time, I've seen him thread the needle and get it everywhere. He's not as strong a runner, so he's got to get stronger. And I think one of the problems they have right now is they're going to have to call different plays for Shane than they do Sam. And it works better with two quarterbacks when you can call the same play.
And we've seen, like you said, Shane can run. It's the strength, though. Ellinger can take far more hits than Buechele. Yeah, I mean, one of the defining moments of last season was the forearm by Ellinger late in the game against Kansas State.
Yeah, Sam's tough, he's big, he's strong, but you don't want to have your quarterback being your leading rusher.
Right.
And you also don't want him beaten up so much that they say he makes poor decisions. Well, he's worn out at the end of the game, and you don't want your quarterback in that position.
2nd and 20. Buechele, quick flare pass.
Look out.
Daniel Young, he's got big bodies. He's across the 50. Manny, what do you think?
Well, you guys are exactly right about Shane Buechele. He's down on the field seeing what I see. One high safety. He's working outside every time. He's the type of quarterback that can identify the defense beforehand, and he knows exactly where he wants to go the ball before the ball is ever snapped.
And really, last year wasn't ever 100% healthy. Outside of the season opener against Maryland, suffered a shoulder injury and just was never 100% after that. Pressure from Malcolm Roach. Getting his paws on Buechele. I'll mark that one a sack. And Malcolm Roach, dude is up to 270. In the words of the coaching staff, 270 pounds, he can run, and when he gets there, it hurts.
They have to find out about him. They have to find out if he is a guy that they can count on at a linebacker spot. Is he a guy who can also play in space a little bit at 265, 270 pounds? If he can, then he can be a terror going after the quarterback and playing in space because you don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah, in this league, they're going to put a lot of backs on him in space. So he's going to have to be able to play against a slot and a back.
Uchevsky with another punt. No returns this evening.
That guy's got pressure. Oh, my gosh. Try to follow the most valuable player.
I mean, one of the best punters you've ever seen live.
No question.
Beautiful sights right here at the ATX, especially when football is back.
It's considered one of the preeminent arts and humanities centers in the country, with an archive of almost 1 million printed books in its collection. But there's one manuscript that supersedes all others at the Harry Ransom Center, the document that first introduced the world to the printing press and began a revolution, the Gutenberg Bible.
That's where the printed word really begins in 1454, 55. It's also the most important and valuable object owned by the entire UT system.
I think it's one that so many people can relate to. They've heard about it. They've learned about movable type and how it revolutionized printing, and then they get to see it face to face.
Across the lobby from Gutenberg lies another iconic document, the first known photograph.
The first photograph was invented by a man named Joseph Nicephore Niepce in the 1820s. He invented the process which he called heliography. It consisted of a base of metal upon which he coated it with a light sensitive asphalt derivative, and with an exposure of at least 8 hours in the course of one day, he made the image.
Niepce never capitalized on the process of heliography, and the image eventually became lost for half a century until Helmut Nelson Gernsheim tracked it down and was given the image as a gift.
Helmut insisted that it continue to not be sold, so he gave it to the university in 1963. We have created here in the Ransom Center an archive of immeasurable importance, and this is the foundation. This is the keystone to that whole process. Whether you think of photography as a means of documentation, as a means of creative expression, or somewhere in that area in between, that's the beginning of it, right there.
those restless spirits, and for those who thirst for more, Coors Light is colder, cleaner, and crisper. To refresh you for what's next, Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer.
The brand new ESPN app, now with ESPN Plus. Get more ESPN and download now.
Welcome back to the 2018 spring game. There's the OC, Coach Beck, talking to one of his quarterbacks. Shane Buechele has been very good so far, as his orange offense is up on Team White 7-6. Lo Galindo, Rod Gilmore, and Mac Brown. Sam Ehlinger back out with the white offense. Reese Leto in motion. And Ehlinger back to pass. Good protection. Humphrey alone on the sideline, and Boyd gets a fingertip.
Waited too long. He's got to let it go. Now in practice, we saw him anticipating and really letting the ball go. Here he held it a beat too long. You can see the distance with his receiver, who then had to wait for it. But he should have let it go a beat sooner.
Yeah, really good coverage by Chris Boyd, too. He's a guy they want to step up and come up and be a superstar, because he's been a good starter for them over the last couple of years.
2nd and 10. Ehlinger again looking for Humphrey. And Rod, I know right now you're wondering, okay, Devin Duvernay, 44-yard reception from Ehlinger. Where has he gone?
Get him the ball. I want to find out if he is an impact player, a guy that you can count on week in and week out. I mean, he comes up, gets a big 44-yarder early in this ball game. Let's put him to the test. See how much he can handle tonight.
And I will say, when I was out at practice, they thought he had a super spring, not a good spring. And he had the speed when he came in from Baylor. They think now he's ready to be a star.
20 yards per catch his freshman year. Took a step back last year. Humphrey wide open over the middle. Nice catch. And he gets it to the 41.
Well, I like those big bodies, too. Big bodies they can throw, too. We've been hard on the offensive line. They've had a really good pocket here 2 or 3 times in a row for Sam, and Sam stepped up, followed through, and put that one on the money.
And Humphrey is a guy that has a lot of versatility. I mean, out of South Lake Carroll High School, he was a running back there. And we saw him involved in the run game and throw a pass last season. Leto immediately met by Chris Boyd.
How about that tackle?
Chris is stepping up. Good job by Chris. He's out of Gilmer. Relative of Curtis Brown, who played here and played really well for us at corner.
That is textbook. Got his head out of the way, used his shoulder. This is a perfect tackle. Look at that. Head off to the side. Don't worry about concussion issues. Leading with that shoulder. Good job.
What does it mean when the smallest guy's on the field, even though Boyd's not small, but your DBs can tackle like that, Rod?
Means we're the most talented people out there.
Pastor Duvernay, so they must be tied into you, Rod. I think Coach Beck heard you say, I want Duvernay to get a pass. He said, okay, Rod, I got you, bud. I'll go with it. One of the things, too, for play selection today, they don't have a game plan. They're running plays. So they're not trying specifically to get it to anybody. They're just trying to look at players individually.
Well, when it comes to play calling, Tim Beck did a little self-evaluation after last season and told us that he felt like he spent more time with the quarterbacks coaching them last season, as Leto was open and nearly picked off. Spent more time working with the quarterbacks than in his role as the offensive coordinator, and that's something that he wants to readdress this season.
Well, you got young quarterbacks, and you got to spend time with them, so it's an overload. That's why you're better off if you've got an older quarterback and you've got young ones that can grow up and watch him, and that's the way it's supposed to work, and they haven't been established at quarterback here in enough time lately to have an older one.
So Tom Herman has said that he will be more involved in the offense, as Ehlinger with the keep. No contact, but the whistles come down.
Let me tell you, defensive coordinators used to scream at me, you're running an option, and we can't hit him.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
really?
Unfair.
Up inside?
That is just wrong.
Oh, yeah, 3rd down and 3, run an option. Oh, my gosh, is that against the rules in a spring game?
Yeah. See, I know some guys that would hit the quarterback and say, that's on you, Coach.
Yeah, well, obviously, Coach Beck did not look left to see if Coach Orlando was mad at him or not.
3rd and 3. How do you think that's going to work out, though, with Herman being more involved in play calling?
Well, I was a play caller for a long time until I got my job. They got Humphrey at tailback there, so that's interesting to have a little change up in the spring game, have a little fun. and he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So they might put him back. And what you do, you don't have enough time to call the plays if you're going to do everything else you need to do at the University of Texas to be the head coach. So what you do is you're in every meeting, and you're sitting there talking to him during the game, and you're on the headset. So Tom will be very, very involved in play calling because he was one of the best. At Ohio State, he took 3 different quarterbacks in a single year and won the national championship. So he will be very, very involved. I'd say more involved his second year because he knows his team better. But he's not going to take over play calling and call every play. That's why you hire assistant coaches.
Well, times have changed. You know, there was a time when a guy like Bill Walsh called every play. But the way the game is now and all the demands outside of play calling
That's exactly right.
make it really hard to do that anymore.
Ellinger looking for Duvernay. Duvernay making the adjustment, cannot haul it in, as his brother, Donovan Duvernay, with the defense.
I like the fact that Coach Beck listened to Rod, and he's gone to Duvernay now twice in a row. I like that, and brother against brother, that's fun too.
Yeah, go for bragging rights.
Yeah, Mom can't win on this one. I've been in that deal with my brother Watson. Mom's happy it's incomplete in one way and mad that he didn't catch it in the other. So she needs to see both of them separately after the game.
Yeah,
great defense, son.
Great competition.
Catch the ball.
Yeah.
3rd and 9 here in the scoring zone inside the 30 for the White offense. Tim Beck has said they need more big plays, and he's not talking about the 20 to 40-yard bombs down the field.
First charge timeout. White
But what
team.
he's talking about are situations like this. A 3rd and 9, after you've put together a lengthy drive, you got to convert on a 3rd down. Tom Herman wants a timeout. We'll take one with him as White with the pivotal 3rd down coming up.
Is this AT&T Innovations? Yeah, wow. This must be for one of our new unlimited wireless plans. Comes with a ton of entertainment options. Great. Can you sign for this? Yeah. Hey, what's in that one? That's a shark.
New and only with AT&T, you can get unlimited data, 30+ channels of live TV, and your choice of things like HBO or Amazon Music. More for your thing. That's our thing. Visit att.com.
And here it is, the LHN transmitter tower, pumping out Texas sports 24/7. You know, they say if you listen real close, you can hear Texas fight. Do you hear it? Shh. Texas fight, and let's go on.
Y'all want to go fire Smokey? Yeah! Let's go.
Dang it, I should have thought of that.
You're watching Longhorn Network? Hook 'em.
The 2018 T-Mobile Home Run Derby, tonight at 8 on ESPN.
Sometimes news breaks while we're on the air, so we came up with a new way to let anchors know what's going on.
To the 9th inning we go. St. Louis up 3-2, and the Cardinals get the W.
It's a great way to report up-to-the-minute news without interrupting the show.
Breaking news just in, huge NBA trade. The Warriors add another pitcher?
We still have some kinks to work out, but once we get it down, smooth sailing.
Let's get this show started.
Thank you guys so much.
Celebrate the year's greatest moments in sports with the most unforgettable plays, the biggest upsets, and the moments that inspire. Who will reign supreme?
And the ESPY goes to...
Danica Patrick hosts The ESPYs, live Wednesday, 7 Central on ABC.
Sam Ellinger has led the White team on one field goal drive. Here's a pivotal 3rd and 9 as he tries to get the first offensive touchdown for Team White. They do have 6 points after being awarded 3 additional points for winning the circle drill before the start of the game.
And if you notice, Herb Hand is out on the field with Coach Herman. So they are looking at the spacing of the offensive linemen, their footwork. They're looking at everything very closely.
Duvernay at the top of the screen, Humphrey at the bottom. He goes to Humphrey. And Humphrey to the 1 yard line.
Really good throw by Sam Ellinger. Got it out of his hands fast.
Yep.
Protection wasn't an issue because he got it out of his hands fast. He can help that offensive line. 1, 2, 3, plant throw.
Yep, steps up so Hager can't get to him. Good pocket for him and a good throw.
Yeah, quick release, got it in there good.
Tennille Carter stuffed just short of the goal line. And Chris Brown feeling good about that stop.
You know, Coach, we said it might not be fair to compare these two quarterbacks given the offensive line situation. I wouldn't compare them anyway.
Everybody else is going
to. Everybody else is going
to.
And another tackle.
Now here's where
short of the goal line.
Here's where the head coach is mad. You got a 1st and goal at the 2. Line up and run the ball. Now you're happy your defense is stopping them, but you're mad that your offense can't run the ball and get in the end zone. They've got to be able to do it, and you'd rather do it without your quarterback if possible. So this is where Tom's not very happy. 2
straight carries by Carter. Humphrey now lines up behind Ellinger, who's on with a carry earlier this drive.
Figure it's a fake in the pass now.
Now they're feeding the big boy.
Fed the big boy and
cannot move
scored.
the pile.
He scored.
Or does he? He is in. Little Jordan Humphrey with the touchdown carry.
Maybe his uncle, maybe the official at the top there that gave the hands up, but
isn't it great to have a name Lou when you're 6'4", 225?
Yeah, nobody's going to laugh at it. No bullying on this little guy.
Well, his brother wanted to name him Jordan, and they settled on Lil Jordan. And that is what's on the birth certificate is Humphrey. We told you, played a little running back in high school, completing a 14-play, 77-yard drive, eating up 4:38 on the clock.
And that was a really good drive. It was a good drive by Ellinger, and they didn't run the ball very much in the drive. So it was a lot with the offensive line protection and him throwing the ball downfield to good receivers.
Yep.
Big drive overall for Lil Jordan Humphrey. Here's Maniacho with a special guest.
It's just a spring game, but it's still your first game as a Texas athletic director. How's it been?
It's been phenomenal. The crowd is absolutely fantastic. Roughly 35,000 people came out today. We did a lot of things to increase fan participation, brought everyone down to the field, trying to just increase a game day environment that we expect to come this fall.
Now, you had to come in as a new guy and really introduce yourself and start to form relationships. How's it been forming the relationship with Coach Herman in Texas football?
Well, I've known Tom since 2006. We were together at Rice, so I've known him for a long time. But in order to form an opinion, you must, excuse me, look, listen, and learn from people. And that's what's been great, is I've been able to learn Texas from the people that are here, that wore it, that played it. It's their program. I'm just the steward.
Thanks, Chris.
Appreciate you.
And Coach, when it comes to talking about learning from the people that have been there, done that here at the University of Texas, both Coach Herman and Chris Del Conte, they've used you as a sounding board for advice.
Well, they've been great, and Chris has reached out to me and asked me to help. I tried to help Coach Strong as much as I could, so Charlie would text me at different times. Tom's a little bit different. He worked for me, and we've had a relationship for a long time, and he's very passionate about this place, and he's recruited this place for 20-plus years in high school. But it's working really well.
There's a guy you recruited to play quarterback. Gerard Hurd hauling it in. The bomb from Shane Buechele.
Now both quarterbacks are looking good, Rod, so that's good. One of them stepped up, and I said, Shane, pick it up, boy.
But when Buechele is on, this is what he does. He throws the deep ball his freshman year. He was on the money with passes like that.
There's a little bit of gunslinger to him with the deep ball. He takes some chances. He's confident with that. You kind of saw it on that play there.
Hurd now in the backfield with the carry.
Now, would you call this a sack?
Well, if I was the head coach, no, because I'm trying to get my quarterbacks on track and get them confidence. If I was the defensive coordinator, I'd say, what are you doing?
If you're me, that's a sack.
That's a sack. It's not a sack in the spring game. It will be at Maryland. So they got to get it straightened out before then.
A couple times that Malcolm Roach has now ended up in the backfield of the Orange offense. Pressure from the edge from McCulloch, and a flag on the play as Omenihu was also there. I think that would be a sack.
Yeah, that was a hold over there, or a collar. I think clearly.
Defense, number 23 was lined up in the neutral zone.
Excuse me,
penalty.
Cornerback. Yeah, so that's why he got in so quickly. That one on Jeffrey McCulloch.
That made the hold okay.
You've got to understand that in spring games, you're trying to score points to sell tickets. Chris told Tom, score some points in the second half. I got some tickets I need to sell. And we talked about Tim Beck getting help from Coach Herman as a play caller. He's got help from 27 million people.
Breck Hager in on offense now.
That's the fun part of spring game.
And it's going to Hager. Look out. But ready for that contest was Jarmarquise Durst.
I'm sure they talked about it. They couldn't keep that quiet.
I'm betting Hager lobbied for that.
No question.
A nice play from Durst, and Omenihu also gets in. It's not a guy you want to go up with contact.
Oh, Hager's mad. He said, block for me, man.
Look, I'd just rather see him rush the quarterback.
Good hold for Daniel Young into the red zone for the sophomore out of Houston.
I think part of their running game in the fall, guys, is going to be the read option, because with Sam and Shane, they can both run the option, they can both run the read play, and if you're not blocking people up front, it's much easier to read.
Malcolm Roach with the throwdown against Daniel Young. And Beck has said, too, when it comes to the running game, the quarterback will still be involved. How much he is involved will be determined by how good they can run with their backs.
Well, let's be honest. When Texas has been great, there's been a great guy lined up behind the quarterback to take the ball and run with it.
Yeah.
You can start listing them off. But when you have that kind of a guy, Texas has been good.
Pass deflected. Intended for Gerard Hurd. DeAndre Christmas with the breakup.
Ricky Williams, Charles, Sylvan Young. Just
Cedric Benson.
Cedric Benson, you start naming them.
Yep.
Going way back to Chris Gilbert.
You get one guy like that, add that to this offense.
Yep. Jonathan Gray, Malcolm Brown.
To change everything.
And can it be Keontae Ingram coming in from Carthage?
I think that's a question mark. You can play running back faster than maybe any other position except for the protection aspect.
Speaking of protection, none there is Omenihu into the lap of Bouchel.
The other thing that may be a factor now, too, is the offensive linemen are playing every snap, so they could be getting tired.
Yep.
So that's another issue. They wouldn't be playing every play in the fall.
I think Omenihu has had a pretty good first half. You know, there have been a couple of times where he didn't get credit for a sack because he held up. You see him on the left side. Just a good move pressuring inside. But he's played well in this first half.
Yeah, and anybody cussing these two quarterbacks, go back and stand and have a 6'6",
no, thank you,
300-pound guy coming at your right side while you're looking downfield, standing very tall, getting ready to get hit by this guy.
That doesn't sound fun at all.
No, it's not. And if you do it enough, you're going to flinch.
Omenihu had 4 sacks his junior season. Todd Orlando really believes he's a 7 to 10 sack guy for this Texas defense, with Hager also capable of putting up that number.
If those two can come somewhere close to those numbers, now you have a defense that can make some plays, some negative plays, that can really help you in the Big 12.
Well, and the coaches want Omenihu to take on the run better. He's been a great pass rusher, but they want him to be stronger and play with lower pads, so that's something he can work on as well.
This is Chris Nagar, sophomore from Arlington. He is in the kicking mix with Roland. 41 yards. And no good. So a good drive. Another deep connection from Bouchel, but nothing to show for it. White leads 13-7.
Don't look good.
Yeah, it looks like it's both. Just what I don't need.
This is what you do need. Complete the application within minutes, and if approved, you may get the money you need as soon as tomorrow. Money's on the way with CashNet USA.
Stand out from the crowd as a super fan with your new Specialty Toll Tag. Specialty Toll Tags combine the same benefits of standard toll tags with your favorite team colors. Open a new account or upgrade your current toll tag by visiting one of our locations, calling NTTA, or visiting SpecialtyTollTags.com for more info. Make other fans burn orange with envy by sporting a Texas Longhorns toll tag and scoring big toll tag savings. UT toll tags are available now for $19.99 and provide the same benefits as a standard toll tag. Open a new account or upgrade your current toll tag by visiting one of our locations, calling NTTA, or visiting SpecialtyTollTags.com.
This is the greatest day of my life.
He's known as the father of the revolutionary lithium-ion battery that powers everything from laptops to cell phones to electric cars.
I found my own scientific voice. I was off running from there.
An emeritus professor at UT's Cockrell School of Engineering. He's pioneered battery technology that's now industry standard, and in 2011 was awarded the Medal of Science by President Obama. For a lifetime of exceptional innovation, Dr. John B. Goodenough. He's a Longhorn legend.
Sometimes news breaks while we're on the air, so we came up with a new way to let anchors know what's going on.
To the ninth inning we go. St. Louis up 3-2, and the Cardinals get the W.
It's a great way to report up-to-the-minute news without interrupting the show.
Breaking news just in. Huge NBA trade. The Warriors add another pitcher?
We still have some kinks to work out, but once we get it down, smooth sailing.
The 2018 T-Mobile Home Run Derby, tonight at 8 on ESPN.
Guys, so far Coach Herman's gotten everything done that he wanted to get done in this first half. He wanted a lot of momentum to carry over from the win against Missouri in the bowl game. He wanted a big crowd. He's got that. He wanted a huge night for recruits. They've all come here and they're impressed with what they see. He wanted his young guys to have a game day experience and routine. They had pregame meal. They had their walk. They've done all the things to get these guys ready to go to Maryland. And they wanted to evaluate guys, which they'll be able to do. And now they just want to get out of here healthy.
One final drive here for the White offense, leading 13-7. Ellinger at quarterback with Kyle Porter, his tailback. Plenty of time. Hager on chase. Wheeler also there. And the ball incomplete, out of bounds, 30 seconds left. Rod, what stood out to you mostly in this first half?
I think Herman confirmed some things. I think he confirmed that Duvernay is a player, a guy that he can count on. I think he also found that Hager is a force on the outside, as is Aminahu. I think he found, that he's got some guys who can make an impact on the defensive side. Still some issues inside, but he confirmed some things that he's been seeing all spring.
Lil Jordan Humphrey has had a good first half as well. Handful of catches, including a short touchdown run. The last touchdown in this spring game, over the middle, and there he is again, Humphrey. And fighting for extra yards to the 40-yard line. Finally, Brandon Jones getting in to bring Lil Jordan down.
And this is great work because you've got your 1-minute drill trying to get down with 20 seconds left to kick a field goal. So use your timeout here. This is an actual game day drill that is huge for Sam Ellinger to try to get used to scoring in this late part of the game. That's why this is how you win close games.
So not everything in the spring game translates to the regular season, but this is one of those scenarios that could.
It is, and you can see Tom's talking to Todd right now, saying, "Don't bring anybody. Stay in your three-man deep. We're going to throw the ball down the field. I'm trying to get a field goal."
Yeah, you want to see what kind of composure he has in this situation. Is he aware? Clock, down and distance. Manage this. Not just simply can he get back there and throw it. He's got to work through these situations, and you don't get that many of them.
And then you see your strength coach coming out, and he says, "Coach, I think we're doing okay. Offensive line's a little tired. It's a little hot, but I think we're hanging in there." So he and the strength coach are having a conversation right now about how long do we go. And then Tom starts talking about who do we take out. get him out of the game. I don't want to see him anywhere close to that field in the second half if he's a great player.
Reminder, it's going to be a short 10-minute halftime and a running clock in the second half. 20 seconds left here in the first for Sam Ehlinger.
Got to get it down the field. No sacks. Get it out of bounds.
And
Perfect.
Humphrey into plus territory.
Now 14 seconds, so they've got a really good drive going here. Quick release again, tight release. I think Tom and Tim Beck will be happy with what they're seeing with Sam's improvement with his motion. They know what field goal range is for their kicker. Throw it out of bounds again.
To Humphrey, that's been the go-to receiver on this drive as Josh Thompson forces him out.
Well, he hasn't had to read too much. They're giving him man coverage. And so he's been able to spot a receiver and just target it to the outside.
And I would say that was probably what Tom was telling Todd Orlando. Give him man coverage. Let him have a little success here. And now you've got 9 seconds left. We felt like you had to have 8 seconds to be able to run a play. With 9 seconds, they've got to do something, or it's got to be a quick out.
Humphrey now on the sideline.
Probably a fade to the bottom. Going deep.
Over the middle. And that one is broken up by Brandon Jones, intended for the redshirt freshman Jordan Pouncey. 2 seconds left.
Don't like that one.
Usually you go outside. That one could be tipped and intercepted or tackled. And then you've got yourself in a position where you've got to get up and spike it really quick and get your field goal.
Almost was not able to preserve the possibility of scoring.
But it sets up a big moment here for Joshua Rowland. 50 yards would be a career long for Rowland. And it is good. That may be one of the biggest positives of the entire first half of this game. Late clock situation, Ehlinger leading the field goal drive, and at the half, it's Ehlinger's Team White up on Bouchel and Team Orange, 16-7.
Welcome to the AT&T Hotel and Conference Center. Whether it's game day, conference day, or the most important day of your life, we offer modern accommodations with the finest amenities and technological touches to keep you hooked. Located in the heart of campus, we're just a short distance from all the excitement the city has to offer. Right downstairs, you can sample Austin's vibrant culinary culture at our 4-star rated restaurant, The Caroline. Stay with us in the center of it all.
Let's get this show started.
Thank you guys so much.
Celebrate the year's greatest moments in sports with the most unforgettable plays, the biggest upsets, and the moments that inspire. Who will reign supreme?
And the ESPY goes to...
Danica Patrick hosts The ESPYs, live Wednesday, 8, 7 Central on ABC.
Y'all ready? Let's do this. Pull! Pull!
That is a nice shooting, Colt. All right, ship you up now.
Huh? Pull. Shipley! Shippy, all right?
With a fine arts degree from UT, he launched his spectacular career as a Broadway performer, director, and choreographer. He's the only person to win Tony Awards in 4 different categories. He has 10 in all, including a Lifetime Achievement Award.
On with the show!
And he's been invited to perform for 3 U.S. presidents. For tapping his way into our hearts and entertaining audiences for decades, Tommy Tune. He's a Longhorn legend.
Sometimes news breaks while we're on the air, so we came up with a new way to let anchors know what's going on.
To the 9th inning we go. St. Louis up 3-2, and the Cardinals get the W.
It's a great way to report up-to-the-minute news without interrupting the show.
Breaking news just in, huge NBA trade. The Warriors add another pitcher?
We still have some kinks to work out, but once we get it down, smooth sailing.
Now for our game summary brought to you by Living Spaces. The quarterback comparison, Shane Buechele for the Orange, 12 of 18, 130 yards and a touchdown to Colin Johnson. Johnson overall, 5 catches, 55 yards and a touchdown. Team White with the edge as Ellinger has put together a 13 of 22 line for 151 yards. And Team White with the edge, 16-7. As Rod Gilmore mentioned, the defense has been outstanding. Cannot recall a missed tackle in the open field by the Texas defense. And Rod, I know Hager really impressed you. Malcolm Roach was all over the field, and the young safety, B.J. Foster, had his moments as well.
Lots of reasons to be optimistic. We talked earlier about all the impact players that Texas lost from last season. Well, you've seen enough out here today to go, that might be okay. There's some guys who can make plays, who look really good, who seem to be impactful. The defense might be okay.
And tonight makes it look like the money that they spent to keep Todd Orlando's good, because this defense looks very similar to what they had last year.
So Shane Buechele coming back out to run the offense for Team Orange here in the second half. 10-minute quarters. It will be a running clock. Buechele looking deep. He's got a man. John Burt just past his fingertips. Second time he's been led a little too much.
You think Shane wants both of those back?
I would think that one he didn't have pressure, so he could have. You got to put that one on him.
You got to give him a chance.
You got to make that play.
Yep. They don't come that open that often. You got to hit those.
Bird had the longest reception of last year, 90 yards against Oklahoma State. And there is Johnson, makes the catch. However, cannot secure it to the ground. We'll call that incomplete to bring up a 3rd and 10. Yeah, it's tough to overthrow John Burt because he is one of the fastest players in all of college football. He showed off his skills at the Clyde Littlefield Texas Relays. The 110 hurdles, that's his thing. Took part in the NCAA National Championships in this event.
Yeah, well, John is one of the guys we recruited. And you go back and look at Marquise Goodwin, who was a dual sport athlete and an Olympian, and you go back and look at Jamal Charles, and sometimes it's really, really hard for a guy to be so elite in both areas because he can't spend enough time on the minute details. And we always felt like that Marquise Goodwin was never in great football shape when he got back because he went to the Olympics and he came back and it was hot. And he had not been catching balls and he hadn't been spending hours with that quarterback. So sometimes when fans get frustrated and they see a guy like John and said, why aren't they throwing it to him? Why? He's so fast, he's so good. Sometimes it's just too much. And it puts so much pressure on them and takes so much of their energy and time. It's hard to be great with the little things in both sports.
People forget it's a team game.
It is a team game.
And you have to be able to make your skill fit within your teammates and what's going on.
This is what we saw in the first half. Sam Ellinger leading the Orange offense. And looking deep, for the White. There's Devin Duvernay with a hit from Chris Brown. Rolling out, finding Reese Lato. Shane Buechele. His responses for Team Orange. Daniel Young, 12 of 21, 130 yards. Running for his life here, throwing a crossbody to Johnson for the touchdown.
You know, guys, a lot of coaches say, when you talk about defense, it's tough to make good tackles in the spring. You don't hit an awful lot. Watch what happens here. A lot of clean tackles by this Texas defense. And the proper way, using the shoulder.
Cameron Rising, true freshman, early enrollee, now checking in. Reverse, Duvernay will throw. He is lit up. Oh, goodness. Duvernay is going to regret that play as DeMarco Boyd decleats him.
And he had somebody wide open. He tried to get it to him so badly. He saw him, he turned, he just could not get his shoulders turned enough to throw the ball down the field.
Biggest hit of the game.
Biggest hit of the game.
So Rising.
I said he's not a quarterback, I can hit him.
Well, this guy is. And he's got the Landry Jones mustache working. How about that from the number 11 ranked pocket quarterback in the class of 2018, and that's a long toss. Complete down the sideline, right out the first down marker.
Gonna start,
that's incomplete.
Yeah, going to start seeing a lot more of the young guys in here the second half with the clock running, because you're finished in so many ways. You may start playing some guys both ways.
So Curtis, with the illegal touch there, went out of bounds for making that reception.
We also told the officials, Rod, when you put the young ones in, keep the flag in your pocket.
Yeah, let them play.
Let them play. Let them have some fun. But look up, there's 6:33 left in the third quarter. So this one is going fast.
Coaches really like the pocket presence of their young quarterback, Cameron Rising.
I think they like both young quarterbacks.
You know, Coach, we were talking about competition. A lot of coaches say the quarterback position is no different than any other position, and you just compete there too. I'm not sure that that's true. I think there are bigger consequences when you have competition at the quarterback spot, because that's such a position of leadership for you.
He's the only one on the field, other than the center, that touches it every time, Rod.
Yep.
So I agree with you, and the center gives it up fast. Quarterback keeps it, and he makes all the decisions on the field.
And the punt is away. Morgan Brandon Jones simply fielding that one. And let's catch up with Manny Acho.
So I'm here with some of the players this Texas team is going to miss most. Deshaun Elliott, Malik Jefferson, the Aussie himself, Michael Dixon. First off, Deshaun, in the wardrobe, you just got to talk to me about that.
Or the V-Bone, it's the V-Bone shirt, you know. Yeah, I love my fashion. I always have, but my fashion is how I am.
Okay, let's talk ball. What are you going to miss most about playing with this Texas defense?
Being able to play with somebody that you've been playing with for years, you know, building a bomb, seeing the person every day, and just working together, sweating together, crying together, staying together in the summertime. I'm going to miss that the most, because I've been loving them boys for years, and just the fact being able to come back and see them still play is great.
Malik, you got the draft coming up. You heard a lot of stuff, or heard a lot of hype. What are your emotions like going into it?
I'm not worried. You know, God's going to take care of everything that comes, and whatever happens, happens. And, you know, moving forward in life, I'm going to become a great player and hope to represent the University of Texas every day I play the game.
You were the heartbeat, the center of the defense, talking to the D-line, talking to the DBs like Deshaun. Who do you expect to fill that void?
Now, I put a lot of pressure on these guys, but I think it's going to be a team effort. I don't know who per se is going to step up and do it, but there are some guys I'm challenging, like Gary Johnson, Anthony Wheeler, PJ, Chris Boyd. It could be anybody. And so, like, and from that aspect, from that standpoint, I hope those guys just step up and do their job.
The Aussie, my most exciting interview because of the accent. You got to tell me, how have you helped coach up your cousin, the new punter coming in?
I mean, I've been telling him everything that I wish I knew when I was a freshman, like how to set up the kicking net on the side of the field and, you know, what to do pre-game. So we kind of pretended this was a game because I won't be here for his first game, and do my routine in the morning just to see if he likes it and just try and set a routine for him.
You struggled at Texas early, but you ended up dominating. What changed?
Basically, I got a routine. I figured out what worked for me and just stuck with it, did a lot of mental rehearsal, mental visualization stuff, and it worked. So that's what I'm trying to teach him.
Some Texas legends. Guys, back to you.
Manny, thank you so much. Casey Thompson now in at quarterback, and we are seeing what he is known for, and it is the legs. The freshman from Newcastle, Oklahoma, the 11th ranked dual threat quarterback in the class of 2018. So guys, talk about who you have to replace. All right, we saw right there Deshaun Elliott, Malik Jefferson. You're talking about replacing the punter and Michael Dixon. You got Poona Ford, Connor Williams as well. Who do you think Texas is in the best spot to replace the easiest?
Wow, that's a tough question. I will say this. Given what I've seen on the defensive edge tonight, I think that's going to be the strength of the defense. Now, you want to be strong up the middle. We haven't seen inside. We didn't get a chance to see.
Taquan Graham could be the guy.
Yeah, we didn't see Johnson inside today, but on the outside, I like what I saw. I think those two guys have a chance to be pretty special.
And Todd Orlando said that now this defensive line, seeing them on the hoof, looks like a line that the University of Texas is supposed to look. I mean, it's imposing, this group.
I would have liked to have seen Gary Johnson play tonight and get a sense as to whether he can be that replacement guy inside, but he's out, he's injured.
Out with a groin issue.
So we didn't get to see that. But you have to be pleased with, kind of what you have off the perimeter. When you talk about Hagan, you talk about Omenahu, you have to like what you see from him, and even from Roach as well.
The hardest guy to replace, Michael Dixon. He was phenomenal. He changed field position. He dropped it inside the 20 more than anybody I've ever seen, and he'd hit it 60 or 80 yards, and that just isn't normal.
In the Texas Bowl win, as Thompson was pressured, Dixon punted 11 times, 8 of them inside the 10, 4 of them inside the 5.
It's unbelievable. And he didn't do that as a freshman. So
no, he was shaking punts as a freshman. And this is what he was talking about, helping Buchevsky, his cousin, learn how to do everything. I mean, he is literally showing him how to set up the net. Because Dixon told me that when he first arrived, going out for his first practice, he didn't even know how to put on his pads because never had played football in Australia.
Kickers and punters are different. I had a punter once in practice that was struggling. I was standing there watching him, and he just, we'd seen him in camp, and he was great. In high school, he was great. He could not punt with me standing there. And I said, could you tell me what's wrong? And he says, yeah, I get nervous when you're here. And I said, well, I'm going to be at most of the games. I mean, come on, man. He never punted for us.
Dixon is an imposing figure as well. I mean, that guy is built. He is a big dude. His leg, it's not just the strength, though, but the way he could place it inside the 10. And there's not a lot of punts that you can recall in your life of watching college football, coaching college football, but I've never seen a punt like his sidestep punt that he made against Missouri and then pinned it in the 10. I mean, it's something that guys just don't do. He's going to be a 15-year player for somebody in the NFL.
I agree. I don't think he has to quit at 15, Lowell.
Yep.
Don't be surprised if someone decides late in the first round or early in the second round that is a weapon that they need to have.
Really? Rising. Supporter incomplete. So it should be a good draft for the University of Texas. Connor Williams looks like he's going to be a fringe guy, maybe late in the first round, according to Todd McShay. He has him as the 34th overall ranked prospect. But like you were alluding to with Dixon, it just takes one team. Holton Hill, awesome year for the Longhorns last season, was actually the best tackler on the defense, according to Todd Orlando. Michael Dixon, 89th ranked prospect, and then Malik Jefferson, 95th as well. That's an intriguing group for Texas to put in the NFL draft. Over the middle, big contact. Brandon Jones laying the wood, but Jordan Pouncey getting the best of that strike from Rising.
And these two quarterbacks will have time to grow. They don't have the pressure of the other two that you have to go out and play in a ball game tonight. This is their first ball game, so it's so much better for a quarterback to be redshirted.
Pop pass to Pouncey. And Texas just has not had that luxury at the quarterback spot in recent years.
Well, assuming that both Buechele and Ellinger, are fine with the competition and they're both here, these young quarterbacks can wait. But if one of them should leave, transfer, because they don't like the result of the competition, all of a sudden you're looking at one of these freshmen stepping into the number 2 role.
Absolutely, and then you're a sprained ankle away from him starting.
Right.
Rising to Pouncey, incomplete. Now he had the big hit just a couple plays ago. Someone was paying attention on the sideline. So Rising over the middle to Pouncey. Jones lays the wood. Brown is there as well. And look at the reaction. Dixon is signing autographs. It's like, whoa, what is that? Yeah, it's a big hit.
They get that autograph. Let me ask you this, Coach. If you are this close to getting to the Super Bowl or the playoff, and you see a guy like Dixon that can change your offense and defense, field position, might you spend a pick on him?
I would. A great punter and a great kicker, even with kickoffs and field goals, winning those close games will make all the difference in the world in your team.
Put you over the top.
Special teams get better when you have a great one at those two positions.
Rising, rolling, throwing on the run.
And it's interesting, Rod, that people say it's a third of the game, but then they don't treat it like it's a third of the game.
Right. Davion Curtis hauls it in. Curtis, a speedster from Temple, Texas. Rising, even though he's listed as a pocket quarterback, Herman was adamant that there is athletic ability inside that 6'1", 235 frame. And he's driving his offense to the edge of the goal line. So third quarter concludes. No score in the third. We go to the fourth with White leading 16-7.
Is this AT&T Innovations? Yeah, wow. This must be for one of our new unlimited wireless plans. Comes with a ton of entertainment options. Great, can you sign for this? Yeah. Hey, what's in that one? That's a shark.
New and only with AT&T, you can get unlimited data, 30+ channels of live TV, and your choice of things like HBO or Amazon Music. More for your thing. That's our thing. Visit att.com.
Corona wants you to have a great summer, but don't do it because we want you to. Do it because it's what summer wants. Summer wants you to slip out of the office and into a swimsuit and get pulled in all the right directions. It wants bonfires that go way later than they should. See those Coronas in the air? That's all summer. Basically, if you're summering with a Corona in hand, you're doing it right. But don't take it from us, take it from summer.
Told you we should have gone Schlotzsky's.
Schlotzsky's. Go with your gut. Official sandwich of the Texas Longhorns.
I can't believe they charged me this much. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Go to CashNetUSA.com now. If approved, you may get the money you need as soon as tomorrow.
Thanks. Who are you?
I'm CashNetUSA.com. Man.
Apply now at CashNetUSA.com.
Money's on the way with CashNet USA.
When you rent a car on Turo, you're renting from a real person. No shuttle rides, no waiting in line, and no wandering a car lot. This is better than your typical car rental. This is Turo. Download the app today.
She's a PhD graduate in linguistics who was named president of UT El Paso in 1988. In more than 40 years at UTEP, she's focused on access to education, doubling enrollment and adding more than $350 million to the budget, making UTEP best in the nation for first-generation college students, and placing her among Time Magazine's 100 most influential people.
Your education is your ticket to the future. Don't take it for granted.
Dr. Natalicio, she's a Longhorn legend.
Texas football on Longhorn Network is presented by Living Spaces. Coming soon to Pflugerville. And in part by Toyota. Get great deals on Tundra. Visit buyatoyota.com today.
Back, there's our friend Django Walker, singer-songwriter, based here in Austin, Texas. So I'm at the after party at MJM, taking part in the pregame festivities.
Huge Texas fan.
You get
loves it.
You get party invites, huh?
Occasionally.
Okay, all right.
Perks of the job.
He was the MC, right? He's a big timer.
Yeah, come on.
Clearly.
Rising, trying to be big time, looking for Kyle Porter, big hit, and forced out of bounds by Josh Thompson.
This will give Coach Herman and Coach Herb Hand some really good video to show these guys. You got to score running the football when you get down inside the 5.
Little Jordan Humphrey has now checked into the backfield. He already has one rushing touchdown. See if they go to him again. And they do. Following the lead blockers and in for the second time. I think you found the MVP of the 2018 spring game right there.
They're obviously trying to send a message to those running backs. If you can't get in, I'll find me somebody that can.
Yeah, they better be paying attention.
Well, Humphrey runs with some authority down here, and he's done that all night. You know, the other thing you notice, too, tight end in the formation down here, Coach. It's something we didn't see a lot of last season, so maybe a little bit more physical down around the goal line for Texas.
Yeah, Tom, the offensive coaches will be really excited that they were able to run the football on that series and run it in when they got down there.
Well, Jordan Humphrey 100 yards receiving, couple of rushing touchdowns, and White extending the lead 22-7. Hey, it's never too early to look forward to next season, so let's do it. September 1st, the opener at Maryland. Terrapins got the Longhorns in Herman's debut here. Another rematch against USC. That will be here in Austin. TCU, defense could be outstanding yet again. September 29th at Kansas State. Always tough to play. Wildcats and Longhorns went to overtime. Got the Red River rivalry against OU. West Virginia and Will Greer. He's going to be perhaps the top returning quarterback in the Big 12. That will be a tough matchup. And Rod, it takes us to the Dr. Pepper 2018 season schedule.
Yeah, you know, the back end of the schedule isn't that bad, but the beginning of it really is. And no game is more important than Maryland. They really have to play well. Maryland came out and ripped Texas last season, ran the ball at will, tested their toughness, tested their manhood. That's a statement sort of game for Texas to say we are physically stronger and tougher this year.
I don't like going to Kansas on Thanksgiving. It's going to be so cold. And you've got at Texas Tech in November. You never know what you're going to get when you go to Lubbock.
It's a tough 3-game stretch to open up Big 12 play with TCU, Kansas State, Oklahoma.
Well, the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah.
That's a tough stretch. Maryland, USC, TCU.
In the beginning, that was a struggle for Texas a year ago. Like that schedule, this one was back-ended. Johnson, jump ball, and put on the spot by the young freshman, early enrollee.
Johnson's put on a show. We talked about one unit looking so good now. Longer, taller, 6'6", 6'3", 6'2". Johnson 6'6". He's always open.
36 yards by Casey Thompson. Gives it up to Tim Yoder, who stumbles for additional yards.
I was really impressed with Casey when I went out to practice a couple of times. He can run and throw. And anytime you've got those feet and you can make plays with your feet out of the backfield, it gives you a chance.
And look right behind them. You see Ellinger and Bouchel coaching them up, staying vocal.
Yeah, it's a great sign. Good job by Tom Herman getting them out there.
McCulloch freezes Thompson, and that will go down as a tackle for loss. But this ultimately is going to ride a lot on the shoulders of the quarterback spot. It's the Big 12, and history has shown us that you have to have an elite quarterback to be in the upper echelon of the Big 12. Doesn't always have to be elite numbers. Colin Klein didn't put up crazy numbers, but he was an elite quarterback at Kansas State.
The only way to avoid that is to have a dominant defense.
Well, they had one of those last year, and it wasn't enough.
No, because they kind of turned things over a little bit too much.
Thompson almost running into Ellinger, and then throws it away.
You know, the Big 12 will be a little bit more wide open this year, given the number of quarterbacks who've left after seeing a Heisman Trophy winner and some other guys. But you're right. You have to have a great quarterback in today's game. And that's why, at some point, and in my view, sooner rather than later, you got to get to your guy. He's got to take ownership of the team. He's got to take charge. Now here, I don't think that's going to happen until sometime in September when they get through fall practice a week or two before the first game.
Now going into the first game, from your conversations with the staff, from seeing them in practice, do you think they will stick with one guy longer than they did a year ago? As that pass is broken up, intended for Johnson?
I would think you have to, because if you don't, you just start dividing your fan base, you start dividing your team. And, you know, Mac, you're familiar with this. You went through this with Applewhite and Chris Sims, and people don't know the whole story and what's going on, but you create these divisions out there that make it tough every week. Every week it's, hey, why don't you play that guy? And the last thing you don't want teammates saying you didn't get a fair shot.
Well, that's true. The other thing that we're missing here, though, is both of these quarterbacks have been injured.
Right, yeah.
And all of a sudden you make the decision to go with one transfers. You've talked about you got to play a freshman.
Yep.
That's not good if the other one gets hurt. So you want both of them here. If one of them's going to get hurt, you have to keep the other one alive.
Yep.
So it's a problem until you get somebody that's so much better than the other one that you know he can take over and win the Big 12.
Well, and it's not unique to Texas. Look at Alabama. Alabama has the same issue. Look at Georgia. Georgia has the same issue. You know, we're going to see this play out with quarterbacks across the country into the fall. What do you do to keep a guy and not have a guy leave and still have quality backups?
And where this is good is like at Georgia when Eason got hurt last year, Fromm comes in and wins all the games. So you do have a backup with experience as long as these two stay.
Also getting the look at the future is Rising. Completes to Austin Hibbets. And an accelerated maturation prospect for these young guys.
And Lo, just to be clear, neither one of these quarterbacks, to my knowledge, have said anything about possibly transferring. We're just going on what we know generally, that basically half of all quarterbacks transfer at some point.
Only the ones not starting.
Exactly.
That's it.
7 minutes left in the 2018 spring game. White team up 23-7, largely off the performance of little Jordan Humphrey. And that pass is broken up. We'll send it down to Maniacho with the head coach.
Coach, the spring is officially starting to wind down. As you reflect on it as a whole, what are your takeaways?
We got stronger, we got more developed. I really think we got closer as a team. I know tonight's not a great representation of it, but we got much better at offensive line. Again, these guys were juggled around a bunch this game. I think we've improved at quarterback. I think our defensive line is really deep, and we've got 3 young secondary players that are here already that are going to be really, really good players for us.
Going into the rest of the offseason, what's the next step for this team to take?
We got to get deeper. We got to get some of these guys that missed tonight's game because of minor bumps and bruises. We got to obviously get them healthy, and then, you know, we've got help is coming. You know, and you hate to always have to rely on true freshmen, but we're going to have to rely on quite a few.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Standout youngsters getting set to add to that depth that Coach Herman was talking about. And like the frontline players, but especially on the offensive line, there is definitely a drop once you get past that first string. So hoping that a recruiting class that was ranked top 5 nationally will be good enough to bolster that depth, as there is P.J. Locke. He'll be one of the top returners. And talking to Caden Stearns, who was another one of those top 3 safeties in the recruiting class of 2018.
Hey, some of those freshmen that he's talking about, you know, we talked about those defensive backs. He's got some long, tall corners. And you get long, tall corners that can play and play some man coverage for you. Man, does that help your defense.
So let's hear from both of you guys. What gives Texas a shot next season, but also what's the biggest question mark going into that year?
Biggest question mark for me is the offensive line and the running game. Because to be great with younger quarterbacks, you're going to have to run the football. Looks like the defense is going to be good again. I would worry about the young punter because he's not Michael Dixon. He doesn't have that experience, and he's not going to change field position like Michael did. He can't. It's just not feasible to do that at a young age. But you've got to have some running game, and your offensive line has to get better because you can't get in 3rd and long situations all the time, not being able to protect and keep your quarterbacks healthy.
Agreed. Thompson with another long run.
I don't know that they've got a dominant running back, and I think they need that. I was really impressed with what we saw on the outside with the receivers making some big plays. I think that's a real plus. And then on the defensive side, as I mentioned before, I think there's some guys on the edge that give them a chance to be able to create negative plays on defense. And if you can do that, you have a chance in the Big 12.
Thompson to Hurd. I like this competitive streak that's going on here because Herman said going into this game, really by this part in the game, he didn't expect there to be a lot of frontline players out there, but he's giving his young quarterbacks a chance to work with some of those electric playmakers on the outside.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, question for you. Who do you think wants a copy of that circle drill? Buechele or Ellinger?
The Ellinger family, probably. You could say that Ellinger won that unless Bouchel wants it for a little bit of motivation.
Nope. I think Rod's right. I think that's Sam's drill.
That's tailor-made for what Ellinger does.
Yeah, I'm sure every time Coach Herman looks at Shane and says, circle drill, he says, are you kidding me?
Well, also when it comes to quarterback depth as well, it's the reality of this system. As Thompson tries to scramble away from McCulloch, they run the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks will take hits. You got to have depth to be ready just when somebody gets dinged.
This is going to play all summer and all fall long because the nation is most curious about who the quarterback's going to be here. And that circle drill will be, hey, these two competed, and boy, they got after each other.
Well, there'll be 27 million people talking about it daily.
It's football in Austin, Texas for you.
For the right to the QB1.
3rd and 6 for Thompson. To Yoder.
I asked Coach Royal one time, Rod, what's the best thing about being the head coach at the University of Texas? And he said, 27 million people care about what you say and do and think every day, Coach. I said, Coach Royal, what's the worst thing about being the head coach of Texas? 27 million people think and talk about what you do every day.
Check your email, check your timeline.
Check your email, check your timeline. We were behind at halftime. I was fired. We were ahead at the end of the game. They wanted a raise.
Especially when it comes to the play call.
And that was just your wife.
Yeah, that was solid.
Thompson up the middle. The keeper. No whistle yet. And finally one blows, marking down at the 10-yard line. 3:05 left. As Casey Thompson, it's a big pull anytime you can get, especially a quarterback out of the state of Oklahoma in recruiting. I mean, that's what Tom Herman has put so much focus on. State of Texas and the surrounding areas, locking that down like you did so effectively in your days here.
Casey's dad was a great quarterback at Oklahoma. Had some issues there, but he was a great player. So I was not surprised when I walked out and saw Casey play that he could run and throw. It seems to be a great young man.
Another carry for Yoder. Tim Yoder into the end zone. What did he get out of the spring game? How about a memory of a lifetime? The senior from Plano, Texas, the walk-on Tim Yoder with the score for Team Orange.
And then you got to be careful that his mom and dad don't come in Monday and want a scholarship. He scored, Coach.
Need more carries.
Need more carries.
You want your feature running back? Here he is.
Yep.
We found him right here. He just didn't give him enough reps.
9 plays, 55 yards as Casey Thompson leads the scoring drive for Team Orange. Be intriguing to see what Ingram brings in. Number 11 running back prospect, the ESPN 300. 2-point conversion here. Looking end zone, in traffic, and that one is picked off. Durst with the INT. Back to Manny.
Coach, everybody talks about the quarterback battle, but let the fans know, how good is it to have a competitive quarterback room? How much better does it make everyone?
Oh, I mean, unbelievably better. I mean, when when we had those 3 guys at Ohio State, I mean, every one of those guys got better because of the level of competition in that room. And to see these 2 young guys come in and do what they've been able to do in just 15 practices too, I am really, really excited about the development of that room.
Not everybody knows, but so much growth and development occurs over the summer. When the coaches aren't having their hands on, what do you hope to see from the quarterbacks during the course of the summer and the fall camp?
Well, they got to lead. We can't mandate anything, but what traditionally happens is those guys have player-led, 7-on-7, player-led throwing sessions, and they need to get those guys out of the dorm room, get the wide receivers, get the running backs, get them out, most every day and throw the ball around with them.
Appreciate that, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach Brown how important is this next step? What happens once the spring game comes to a close?
Well, first, tonight was a successful night for Tom Herman. A lot of fans came. A lot of them are still here to see the young quarterbacks. They're going to stay for the autograph session. So it tells me that Texas fans are believing in Tom. They think after last year they're close and it's going to be better and they're going to move forward. And in talking to Tom and the staff this week, they know they got to get better, got to develop more depth. They've got to keep growing. They've got to keep learning the offense. But now, with the structure of practice in the summer, you can practice those guys in the summer. So they've got to get the young Keontae Ingram ready to play when they start in the fall. They got to get all these guys stronger. And after you get through tonight, they can go back to a rigorous offseason program this summer and get stronger and be in better shape than they are tonight.
Well, you've had spring ball and you have some tape now. You can actually sit with some guys and say, we think this is going to be your role. This is what you need to do over the summer. You got to get bigger, stronger here. You need to be able to work on this. You got to make sure you're at the 7-on-7s. Do this, and maybe you expand that role. But right now, here's what we see for you. So it really helps a player to know what you expect them to do during the summer.
And it sends you a message if some of them don't show up for summer workouts. It just tells you they don't want to do it. But I would think after tonight that we'll see Shane and Sam stay at quarterback, compete through the summer, be good leaders in those 7-on-7 sessions, and they'll compete throughout the fall, understanding both of them have started at one time or another, but they both had good nights tonight. They both took care of the ball tonight. They both ran their offenses pretty well and had some good plays, didn't have a lot of bad plays. So I think we see them in good shape, and Tom Herman's in good shape with both these guys starting in fall practice.
But the battle continues. Probably won't end until what, maybe a week, 2 weeks max before the Maryland game?
Well, and it might be 3 weeks into the season because you got to see how they play.
Yeah.
With that early schedule, though, can you afford to have that conversation going on as Tennille Carter busts through the line right up the middle? With as good as that early season schedule is, can you still be looking for a guy that early?
Yeah. Because if neither one of them have shown you who they are, you got to look. I mean, that's what you do. It's up to them. It's up to one of these guys to step up and take over. That's what I said earlier. You want to stay in, score. So we used to say we're planning on putting him in the third series of the game, but if not, if we're scoring 3 straight times, we may not change it.
Well, what we have not seen from the starting quarterbacks, the guys in competition for that job, Buechele and Ellinger, turnovers in this game.
No, they did a good job. And I'm going to tell you, I know both kids. They are great young people. And that gives them a chance to be able to handle that competition. They've got great parents. They get it. So they're not going to listen to all the chatter around. They're not going to let that disrupt them. They've just got to keep playing and getting better and control what they can control, and that's how they play.
The line for Ellinger, 13 of 22, 151 yards. For Buechele, 12 of 21, 130 yards and a touchdown. So pretty much tit for tat, matching each other's performance.
Yeah, they both made some good deep throws. They both had a couple of decisions that they probably would like to have back, but on par, I'd rate it about even for tonight for the two of them.
And if I'm thinking, if you're Tom Herman, you either wanted one to be great and the other one average, or you wanted them to be exactly the same. So I think he came out really happy tonight. It gets him through the summer, gets him to fall, where he can let them start over and compete again.
So the final seconds ticking down on Tom Herman's second spring game, the first under the lights here at the University of Texas. Pretty cool event. Texas has done a lot to build up the excitement around this 2018 spring game. The fans showed up, showed the appreciation.
And all the players, Rod, will tell the coaches too which quarterback they think had the best summer. We had Colt McCoy and Jevin Sneed going into the summer, and they were even. After it was over, I started asking players, I said, Coach, your quarterback's Colt McCoy. And that was before we ever started a day of practice.
Players always know, don't they?
Players know.
Team White takes down Team Orange 23-13, and so important, no injuries tonight, and that means it's a win.
No, it's a great win. I thought it was a tremendous night. Tom Herman and staff should leave happy tonight and get ready for the fall.
Rod, what's your biggest takeaway from what we just saw?
I think you have to be pleased with what you saw, particularly for some guys on the offensive side that you wanted to find out if you had impact players. Like we saw a couple guys at the wide receiver spot that looked like they fit the bill. But I think that's a real positive. And given what the offensive line did at times, that's a positive. Matt talked about depth. But for me personally, I'm just really blown away with what I saw off the edge defensively, thinking that this could be a defense that could wreak some havoc, on the perimeter. And if they can do that, they may have a chance.
No Puna, no Malik, no Deshaun.
Yep.
But Todd Orlando and this defense has shown that they will tackle soundly as well in 2018.
Yeah, they didn't look a lot different.
No, not missing a beat.
Like the same defense to me.
Guys, had a blast. Coming up next, Texas Game Day Final. But first, the Eyes of Texas.